All right, welcome back, everybody. We're on to another interview with one of our PGL Season 18 coaches. Today, we have a former PGL competitor, played several times. I have a very fond memories of playing this opponent. We just had a little nostalgia trip down the road about me barely stealing a playoff semifinals game. Well, stole a regular season game from him, but then ended up playing again in semifinals off of a crazy miscalc on Lopunny thanks to some flail shenanigans. Regardless of all that, our friend today is a very strong competitor, previous PGL competitor, Killerjays. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Happy to have you. Happy to chat. I feel like I haven't seen you around in a while, other than I see you like kind of hanging out in Gen chat once in a while. So I'm glad to have you battling with us once again.
Yeah. I think one of the people in chat said, "Oh, you're done with your retirement." And it's just like, yeah, I guess you could call it retired. I'm not Giga retired anymore. It
Yeah,
was
there you
Altruist
go.
who said that.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, welcome back from retirement. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. We're taking your retirement fund away until you go back though. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so the PGL, I'm gonna go over it every time. I'm gonna annoy people who are listening to these back to back, but it is low tier. It is Nat decks. We have all the cut moves other than Hidden Power and Pursuit. The budget was pretty strict, and Tera captains were the low tiers. You had 15 points, 2 to 3 caps, easy peasy. So Killerjays, my question to you: how did you feel going into this draft? Like, what was your thought process? I see that you were pretty early on. You were pick number 4, actually. So you kind of had the pick whatever you wanted, and you ended up going with Haxorus, I see. So tell us a little bit about that round 1 pick, maybe rounding it out with your pick 2. And I'll just be honest with you, if Haxorus had made it all the way down to me, that was my number 1 pick in this draft. So I think it's fantastic. But please, go ahead. Let us know how you feel about it.
Let's see. After it was Entei, Aggron, and Ironleaves, right? And
Yes.
then when I looked at the board, I was actually in Vermont at the time in the middle of a hike.
Oh, wow.
So I just had to like look on my phone and just check the board out real quick. And the first thing that came out to me was I think it was low kicks and then Haxorus and then Sandy Shocks. And then I just
Mhm.
thought I have a history with Haxorus. I think it would be nice to have him back,
Mhm.
give him a little bit of dominance in these lower tiers. So I was really happy to have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best you could take. Like, what you can look at all these teams. Most of the switch into Haxorus don't want to take a Mold Breaker Earthquake, or they don't want to take anything else. And I think I see this old school strategy of your opponent can't bring your counters if you just pick them. So your second pick, that Wheezing, the Galarian Wheezing, what was your thought process on that one to round out your top 2?
So it was very open-ended for the second pick. I think it was between um Pinkaton and some other fairy type that I was thinking about at the time,
Hmm.
and Galarian Weezing. And I just thought with Galarian Weezing, it would be just one of those um, picks where if I'm ever like run into any trouble, it's usually I'm a very notoriously standard like balanced player, so I just
Hmm.
wanted to grab my defogger very early, especially in these low tiers,
Yeah.
because if your like lower point mons have uh like removal, that's good and all, but you're not going to bring them every week. So I thought it was more of a focus to try and get my removal earlier, as well as
Absolutely.
getting my potential grounded poison and my dragon resist. So
Yeah.
that was my kind of thought process behind that.
For sure. I mean, Wheezing is one of the icons of roll compression, and I think it has so many fun sets. Some people think it can be like stagnant, maybe a little passive, but I've seen some crazy Galarian Wheezing sets. I've seen some like Misty Surge, Misty Seed, like setups. Like this thing can do so much for you. And like you said, you're knocking out a lot of the pieces you need early. That's very similar to J Scarf's mentality of grab the mons that are
Hmm.
going to do the rolls that nothing else is going to do. So I think
Yeah,
fantastic second pick on your part. Um,
yeah.
yeah. Uh, Another mon that really stood out to me when I was looking at your draft. I have dealt with this thing multiple times in standard, and I'm shocked that it ended up being a Terra Captain in this low tier. I thought it would cost like 12 points. I see that you picked
Oh
up
yeah.
the Terra Lapras. So, absolute nightmare Pokemon. Have you used it before? And tell me kind of your thoughts. I know that was a later pick. That was a really solid pickup on your part.
Yeah, so around this time, it was starting to get really challenging on what I would pick, and I had two Pokemon on my radar. It was Lapras and it was actually Simipour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know Simipour isn't kind of a real mon, but I thought because it has Water Stab and good ice coverage, that if I used Terra on it, it would have the remainder of its coverage be Terra Blast.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized, oh, okay, Whiscash got sniped for me a pick before by Enzo.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? I think Lapras is good. I've never used it before, but
Hmm.
like as a Terra captain. But I actually saw someone in a different league that I played with actually sweep with Terra Electric Lapras, and I was just like, that's kind of busted. So I just thought it was a very, very good, very, very efficient pick, I would think, especially since
Yes.
I didn't really have my bulky water yet. And I remember my first league, I used the Gmax Lapras
Mm-hmm. Nice.
in the PGL Gmax league, and so um, I at least have a little bit of experience with it. But I'm excited that I got it that late into the draft, to be honest, and it kind of helped me kind of figure out my rest of my three picks afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think it's great. I think Simipour is a totally fine pick as well. I had eyeballed it at one point, but I think that getting that bulk in there is nice. And you obviously you covered
Hmm.
your speeds later on. I just think
Hmm.
Lapras is so incredible because it gets so many tools on the special side. It can Dragon Dance sweep, and it's so bulky. It can very often get two Dragon Dances up with little opposition. It's got things like Whirlpool Perish trapping that could be really handy to break down
Yep,
opposing
absolutely.
stall. So like, yeah, I can tell you that with the coaches I've chatted with so far, we think that your team is one of the strongest total like Terra captain teams. Like your three caps are some of the most efficient, potent
Yeah.
Terra caps. Yeah.
I was really happy with how I got my Terra caps figured out because at first I was thinking of an 8 point mon, but once Lapras came out, all of a
Mhm.
sudden I was thinking my speed tiers is a little bit lacking. Skeptile is obviously a great mon to have,
Mhm.
but people aren't going to respect your Skeptile speed and
Mhm.
pretty much go modest or adamant. So I
Right.
needed one mon to kind of fill that gap a little bit more.
Mhm.
And Electabuzz was that one mon. Um, and as a Terra captain, it's it's a great replacement for a fighting type or a dark type that I didn't have.
Absolutely. It
So
really
that was
is.
kind of my main like thought process with that because I know I'm a little ground weak, but what's Electabuzz gonna be scared of if it can Terra?
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, there is some. I think the biggest part of the ground weakness is just the Registeel plus Colossal, like non-Terra Colossal, is definitely gonna
Yeah.
make people consider bringing that ground coverage. But Registeel is so tanky. If it's non-stab, it probably takes a couple, and then Colossal's kind of a matchup dependent mon in some scenarios, I'm sure. So yeah, I think Electabuzz fantastic. I'll be honest with you, I was considering it for most of this draft. I wanted to do
Hmm.
Executor, Alola, plus Electabuzz as my two Terra caps. And then I pivoted and wanted Zebstrika, and then I saw Aggron, and I was like, well, screw all my other plans. I'm just going to take Aggron. But that being said, Electabuzz, fantastic Terra cap. It's so efficient. It can be bulky, it can be choiced, great speed tier. So I think fantastic pickup on your part.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. So
I
that,
was I was relatively proud of my ending, I guess.
yeah.
The beginning, I had some really like uh regrets, to be honest. For some reason, I thought maybe my Weezing Galar pick wasn't the best pick.
Mm-hmm.
But as I drafted around it, I kind of had like an aha moment where like, um, you know, Weezing Galar is probably the best fighting resist in this low tier.
Yes.
And if I just draft Mons that are fight weak, Weezing kind of gains more value and gives me a reason not to drop it. That
Absolutely.
was kind of my just thought process around that. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the ending went.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic thought process because a lot of people, you think, oh, I need a fighting resist, I'm going to throw on a ghost, but then almost every fighting top this slow down has knockoff or some kind of coverage. Wheezing covers for both of that, so you're kind of protecting your go lurk. I think it's a fantastic like cornerstone piece of a draft, and that kind of leads us well into the next question. Like we've talked
Yep.
individual pieces, we've talked tier captains, high tiers. Overall, how do you think your draft went? I know you mentioned you got sniped on the Wizcash, which maybe ended up being better for your team overall. Um,
Yeah.
other than that, were there other snipes going on? Did you kind of like what you had? And with this draft, did you plan it out, or did you just kind of pick based on vibes as you went?
I definitely picked on cores, which isn't quite the best idea, I would say. But I think in the beginning it was, what's my favorite mon? Okay, Haxorus. And then after I was just like, what's probably gonna be the best bang for my buck?
Mm-hmm.
High tier roll compression and wheezing. It also ends up being a fairy type, which is great. And so I just rounded it out with what I think is the best steel type in the tier
Mm-hmm.
that isn't aggron. So it's like I just went for the Dragon Fairy Steel and then needed some speed, but speed is expensive. So I decided instead of going for the Bramblegast, I went for Skeptile for the speed.
Yeah.
And another mon that got sniped for me was Bronzong.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided, hey, if I don't get Bronzong, I could just go for Registeel and just kind of think about it later. Right around the Colossal point was when I started sweating a little bit because of the ground and low-key ice weakness. But
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend who said, you need a ghost type. I know it's low tier, but you need a ghost type. And I'm just like, okay, well, do I go Bramble or do I go Golurk? And they're just like, what are you talking about, dude? Go Golurk. And so as I kept going down, I kind of switched my thought process. At first, it was roll compression. Second, it was core. Third, it was speed. And then fourth, it was just like specific things that you need, like spin blocker or electric immunity. And then once I got those kind of core six down, it was all just trying to get as uh, efficient a Tera captain squad that I could get.
Right.
And Lapras, just from what I've seen and what people have said, is just a complete superstar at 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Electabuzz was 8 points at first, so when I found out it was 7 points, I got really excited because the lower down you get in the point tiers, it matters a lot more. So like the difference between a 5 point mon and a 4 point mon is massive
Oh yeah.
compared to a 20 and a 19. So once I figured out, hey, maybe I can get 3 Terra captains, then it just got a lot easier after that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think you absolutely had you have the best 1 point Pokemon on the board, I will say, as someone else for the 1 point
Oh,
Pokemon. Like, yeah.
I was just like, that's kind of disrespectful. Murkrow's at 1 when I just saw 2 people draft the 2 bugs, which I know you're a fan of the 2 bugs, but I was just like, maybe this is more of a pick that rejects other people from getting to use it.
Yeah.
Plus, I have the luxury of making it Terra, so it's not just going to be a stump in the middle of the road, just clicking prankster moves. It could Terra Fly and, get some Brave Birds off, or it could
Yeah.
Terra Sucker, or maybe it could just be a good stopgap resist for some speed control, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's one of the most reasonable Pokemon to, like, 1 point Pokemon to bring to a matchup. And yeah, like you said, bird spam is really strong in low tier. So your 1 pointer being able to bird spam pretty efficiently if you wanted to just Terra Fly and hold W with like Choice Band or Choice Scarf, I think that's an incredible strategy for 1 point. Like, it doesn't get
Yeah,
much
exactly.
better than that. Yeah.
You can't ask for much more. Yeah.
Exactly. So I love it. I'm honestly surprised all three of those Pokemon fell to you that late in the draft. Those three. That's such a strong Terra core. I just love it. I'm such a big fan of that core. So great
I
job
was
there.
actually I was really scared that Pingu was going to go after Electabuzz. So I decided, Murkrow is probably not going to make it back to me, so I'll just pick Electabuzz now, and then I'll find some, shitter to to get 1 point off
Yep.
instead and just call it a day. But I was really lucky to get those 3 months back to back to back for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I think it actually worked out in your favor because I'm looking at the other teams ahead of you on the assuming that's the curve, and there was a Bombardier, there was a Sneasel, and there was a Skuntank, so they all kind of had their darks locked in. So I
Hmm.
think maybe that dissuaded because I would have taken Murkrow like round 7, but I already have Crook as a
Yeah,
dark type that's weak to ice, and I didn't want to double up on that, and I couldn't have afforded the Tera. So yeah, I
yeah.
like it.
Mhm.
So yeah, looking at your team, like I've said, I've already given plenty of praise. I'm a big fan. But looking at the other teams on the board, are there any that stand out to you that you're excited or maybe a little scared even to play against because they're looking really strong this season?
I'm really scared of three teams in particular.
Hmm.
The rest of them, I didn't really consider my team to be like upper half. I considered it to be more like average because of my lack of special break.
Hmm.
But the first two teams that came to mind that were really scary was your team and Profail's team. Profail's team having Ninetales Alola, just completely insulating his Rev Room and
Yeah.
Nectric and Typhlosion. You just it's and then of course you got the 19-point Flygon in the back, so it's just like I've had plenty of experience with Ninetales Alola,
Hmm.
and so I'm generally very like um scared of that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the
Honestly.
third team was Eltrees with Rotom Wash
Mm-hmm.
and Ice Cube and Lairon. I was just like, oh my God. And he has you can't talk about Eltrees without talking about his Volt Turn.
Of
That's
course.
just who he is as a player.
Yeah.
And I would not look forward to facing that if I had to. But just those three
Absolutely.
teams off the top of my head, for
Well,
sure.
thank you. I appreciate being among those teams. I know I have offense in spades. The problem is I don't really know how to drive the car, so we're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah. But
think
you've got all of the mons to make progress. So
mhm,
and you're very good at figuring out what's needed to be done in order to close.
we'll see.
So I just think
I'm a little
once you get
washed.
through that middle game, you should be good to go, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Those three teams are looking real strong. Eltrees is another one that I think the three Terracaps he picked were very efficient. Can all do things more so as a Terracap than without being one. So yeah, excited to see what he can do with it too. Okay, so almost last question. Looking at the
Yep.
draft board, a lot of things went, a lot of things didn't go, as draft goes. So,
Ah, yes.
looking at the Pokemon left, and it can be the high tiers, it can be the 8-point Terras, any Mons stand out to you that you're kind of surprised no one took? Because, like, there's so many
Okay.
good pieces left.
Yeah. There's three mons off the top of my head right away where I was just like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Number one was Donphan.
Mm-hmm.
Donphan did not go.
Yep.
That's just your perfect 18-point knockoff user.
Mm-hmm.
Stealth Rocks, Rapid Spin, all you really need from Donphan. Very high defense stat, very high attack stat.
Right.
I was very surprised it didn't go. I kind of had it on my radar, but maybe everyone was going for the more efficient team build because this was a very brutal draft.
Yeah.
Don't accept, don't expect anything less from Meme
Mm.
with his drafts. You gotta love it.
Yeah, always.
And then number 2 and 3 are Abomasnow Mega
Mm.
and 8-point Bear Tip.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Bear Tick under snow gives it a defense boost, and if you tear it electric, it's all of a sudden with like an SD, it can tear it electric, it could tear a ground faster than all of your mons.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely massive. Like it's very slept on. I was definitely thinking about it, but that's a very high stakes game,
Mm-hmm.
uh, depending on the weather.
Yeah.
But a Bomb Snow Mega is just really good
Mm-hmm.
in this format, I would think,
Oh, for
because
sure.
it enables an entire play style. And then obviously, like you're probably not going to draft Beartic if you don't have snow. But those are 2 months that I thought needed to be drafted together to at least have like a different mode, you know, for
Hmm.
people to worry about. And then one more mon that I was thinking about that didn't get drafted. I think it was a middle upper tier mon.
Hmm.
It was, I think Galvantula. Yeah, there we go. Galvantula
Mm,
was the reason why
hmm.
this wasn't picked
That's
up.
a good one.
Yeah, very fast, very good coverage, and of course, can't go wrong with the sticky web. I was kind of dabbling in potentially picking up um, the 5-point bite off
Yeah.
for webs, but decided against it at the end. But those are just the 4 or 5 months that I was surprised that didn't get picked.
Yeah, no, those are some great call outs. Honestly, I didn't think about it, but a lot of times people don't really like Mega Obama for weather because it can't run a weather stone, right? But those are banned here.
Yeah, correct.
So, like,
Yeah,
there's no drawback. As you said, 8-point bear tick means it can be a Terra captain. Like, that's just insane. And even if you only have those
mhm.
4 turns to play with, like, that's 3, 4 turns you don't have a bear tick switch in. So, like,
Especially with like the weather bands,
mhm.
uh, that just leaves Snowscape to just be kind of uncontested,
Yeah.
unless you throw a Weatherstone on your Prankster mod, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So yeah,
But
I was surprised
yeah,
that Hippopotas didn't go actually, because I was looking at some cheap
yep.
weather, and I thought Hippopotas and any of the sand sweepers could have been a cool call out, and it didn't end up getting taken. So who knows? Maybe somebody pivots into some of these mons later on. But yeah, definitely kind
Mhm.
of sad we're not gonna see them, but also a little happy I don't have to face against them.
I mean, you never know. Almost everybody except for one coach has 5 picks left, and getting closer to playoffs, you don't want people to kind of like, you know, adjust to your team
Hmm.
after you've played them already during the season.
Yeah.
Just giving a different look to your team could definitely help for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't even think of that strategy, but that was definitely something that has been used against me before. Is someone using all their
Mhm.
transactions right before they run out, counterpicking all the
Yeah,
playoff teams, and then just going
yeah,
crazy. Like it's a brutal strategy, but it works.
yeah. I mean, for me, all of the games that I won during the regular season, I have definitely lost in the postseason. So it's definitely something on my radar. But as of right now, for my first ever low tier draft, I think I did relatively okay. Like
Yeah.
to be a little bit modest, but just really happy to have the opportunity, obviously, after being away for so long. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys for letting me in. Glad to be competing with all of you.
Of course, we're happy to have you back. And I mean, the rust is not there, at least in the team building. I'm a big fan of your team, and I think you're going to do great. I hope to see you in playoffs, or see you get to playoffs if I don't make it there, and maybe score a quick championship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. So, last question for you is very easy. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say to your fellow coaches going into this season? Any closing remarks you want to put out there?
Um, let's see. Towards my other coaches. Oh yeah. I have a couple friends, Benny and Enzo, who also joined. They're newcomers to this,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're asking me what this league is going to be like, I was just like, well, there are. Let's see. I think there's 13 really good players here, and then there's just us three. So that's what I think about all of you guys. I'm just like, this is definitely a gauntlet of a draft league, and honestly, the reason why I came back was because of how awesome it was to have Meme as host, and of course, there's so many very good competitors. So I just thought, let's try and have a little run back, see how everyone's improved and stuff like that. So, but
Absolutely.
just really psyched the amount of competition that's here. So
Oh yeah.
can't wait to play against you guys. You are all the reason why I'm here in this league today.
Mhm.
So can't wait to see you guys, and let's have a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to hear it. Yeah, we're happy to have you all. We always love seeing the newcomers. And I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think PGL was a very special league. I've participated in many, and this one, there's just something about it. You know, we're down to about one league a
Hmm.
year at this point, but I always want
Yeah.
to give so much effort and really highlight you guys because there's so much talent so many really genuine people in here that I just want to give each one of you your little bit of time in the sun. I don't know how many views these interviews may get, but we're all gonna watch and we're all gonna like them. So super happy that you decided to do this interview with me. I really appreciate you. For those viewing at home, we'll see you in the next one.